Okay, hi guys. I am sitting here with one of my really good friends, Esther Wein, from the 5 towns. I've come in for a wedding and we got into
all 5 towns.
All 5. She's from all 5 towns. And we have gotten into it about singles, about marriage, about approaches, about how to view marriage, how to view dating. And we had quite a heated discussion this morning. So we thought we would just jump on and throw some of the ideas out there. Not that we have the answers, and it's not something like a presentation that's been thought out. And I have an amazing single with me sitting here who doesn't want to be on camera, but she's going to give her opinion as well. So we have an amazing single, she's 30, around age 30. And you want to be anonymous, yeah? Mm-hmm. And Esther Wein, who is an amazing Torah teacher, educator, whose grandfather was Rav Shimon Schwab, and she is very learned, and I go to her a lot about a lot of things. And I don't know, I had some different opinions. So we were jumping in with the idea. One of the things that Esther said that really resonated to me as having been an older single for many, many years, and also dealing with so many singles, is the idea that marriage is something that's become distorted, from a Torah perspective and a Torah point of view. On one hand, we give so much emphasis to marriage because that is the mirror and the message that we get from community, that marriage is so important. And if you're not married, like you feel sort of subpar, like a B-grade citizen, and it's horrible, and the pressure and the judgment, and we value marriage so highly that if you're not married, you feel that way on one hand. But on the other hand, Esther brought up a really good perspective this morning, which obviously she'll expand on, which is that the Torah view is that marriage is super important, but it's not your everything. It's not your fulfillment of who you are. In a way, we emphasize, we conflate marriage to be my identity, and it's not. And even she said an awesome thing that, like, when you're single and you want to start a bayit ne'eman Yisrael, right? You want to start a home. You don't have to wait to marriage to start that home, in the sense of start it now. As obviously the older single that you are, the older you are, the more that's likely. If you're young, you're not necessarily going to move out, but like start a home, host people, give, become that bayit. So it's like these two paradoxical messages, which I thought were really, really interesting. That on one hand, marriage doesn't define you. On the other hand, marriage is really important because marriage makes you bigger than you. And it makes you a part of community and family. And there's so many elements to life when you're married, but it's not because of your husband meeting all your needs, like this Hollywood image, right? Okay, she's going to expand on it. But that was what we were talking about, this paradox of the two. And in a way, when you prioritize getting married because you want what marriage in a sense will give you, which is a much bigger life than yourself, then you're also willing to drop this ideal checklist that we think we should have, because that's what we've been told by secular society and broader society, and specifically Hollywood, that we need this perfect romance, soulmate kind of experience that we're all waiting for. And like everyone has different versions of what they think that is, which is not always accurate. Believe me, I deal with so many people that do not know what is accurate and what is realistic to expect or not. And so many people say, I've got this great guy I'm dating in front of me, but I don't know if I feel enough for him. I don't know if I'm attracted enough. I'm like, enough according to what? They're like, they don't know, but in their head, it's not what they thought that they should feel attracted. So that is poison. Like, that's dangerous because everything else was compatible, right? So we're talking normal range, healthy people. We're not talking narcissists. We're not talking abusive, normal range, that sometimes you're not going to get everything on your list. And it's still going to be 1,000 times better to get married to that person than not be married a decade later, right? So with all of that as an intro, I wanted to, and I would love to hear your thoughts and questions, and you can disagree and you can totally vehemently, and you single over here, whom I love, she can jump in anytime also with a different approach. But we're just having an open discussion. So Esther, what do you want to add to that?
I would just give this perspective, something to think about. I invite you to just think about it. There's no question that Am Yisrael, our nation, which we are all part of, which is much bigger than all of us, is a living, breathing, vital entity. And right now, Am Yisrael is under attack. And one of the most fundamental avodas we have as part of Am Yisrael.
Can you translate into English?
One of the most fundamental acts of service we have as part of Am Yisrael, the nation of Am Yisrael, is to build Am Yisrael. That is a huge priority. Let me jump. There's a reason why in the Hasidish or the very religious communities who are very, very strongly devoted to their identity as Jews, there's a reason that by 21, 22, 23, everybody somehow finds their wife, the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, and they're married. They're marrying the first few people they married. There's a reason. And the reason is that the messages that are being instilled into our head from day one is you have to build Am Yisrael. You have to bring neshama souls into the world. You have to build a family. You have to express Torah values through the family and through the community. You have to bond with other people. It's all about relationships. These are the messages we're getting. We are not getting messages. You should find your soulmate who's going to be compatible on every level. We're not hearing those messages. And that's why people get married. Because what I think when we want to look at the strategy forward, the first one thing we have to do, we have to completely stop using the concept of soulmate. There is no one who was created on this earth by God to fulfill someone else. There's no such thing.
I like that.
You are here. You are a whole world, and we have to grow into ourselves, recruit all our capacities, and express ourselves. And we do that within the framework of a relationship, and because that brings out so much more of what's within us that we wouldn't bring out if we were just by ourselves. So first of all, forget the word soulmate. It's a poisonous word. There's partner. Partner.
It's poisonous because we have an image of what we think that means.
Because the Western soulmate, yes.
And then we're chasing after some image that we have no way of knowing, and then that's just leading you down the garden path.
There's no way to know. There's no such right. Some people are more compatible. Some people are less compatible. But guess what? People can make successful marriages with the more compatible options, or even the less compatible options. After the Second World War, when everybody was in DP camps and they had lost their families,
who is she? She's talking facts.
When they had lost their families, and they knew they had to rebuild Am Yisrael, and they knew they had to create a Jewish community. You know what they did? They just married each other. Now, I'm not advocating that. Obviously, you don't just pick a random person. What I'm trying to say is that when we think about marriage, we must think beyond our personal story of what exactly fits with our sensitivities. We got to get past that. We have to build Am Yisrael. We have to have children and bring neshamas into the world, create a place, a makom for others to find support and stability. So instead of saying soulmate and does it fit with exactly my sensitivities, because again, no one's created on this earth to fulfill me. So if I like a certain type of entertainment and my husband's not into it, who cares? Go find friends. If I like to talk about a certain subject and he doesn't care about that subject, go find friends. Your husband is not there to cater to every whim and
Someone's like, then they killed each other for the next 50 years.
No, because let's talk, instead of soulmate, let's talk about partner.
Yeah.
A partner in a very important task that honestly is bigger than our individuality.
Yeah.
The task is to build Am Yisrael. The task is to have a home, a family. The task is to grow through relationships with other people. That's what being in a relationship forces us. So,
and also, I call it a project manager on like many different projects.
Yes. So here's
at the same time.
I want to limit it to 3 qualities that a person needs in a marriage partner. You need someone who is reliable. You can rely on them to care about you, to be there when you need them, to work through problems with you. And they might not be the most organized person. That's not what I'm talking about. But you figure basically you can rely on them to come and address your unified concerns or your together. Number 2, you need a person who is compassionate, who's a good person, who cares about other people, who cares about your needs, who's going to be there for you when you need help. Maybe they can't serve every need, but they're compassionate, they're reliable, and they simply have the same goal. They have the same goal as you. And then you will be attracted. And I'm not saying that I am not being stupid. You have to be attracted to your spouse. But attraction grows based on priorities. So if we prioritize chesed, the person is about chesed, the person is reliable, the person is kind, the person is reliable, the person is willing to listen to me, or even willing to learn how to listen to me, okay? Then I get attracted to that person, not because of their looks. I get attracted to the person because I'm attracted to this individual for their character traits. And there is a reason why people in the more like I said, yeshiva or Haredi world get married. They're all not finding their perfect soulmate. They're making choices.
Yeah, someone's saying we are looking for deep emotional connections.
You know what? Find it with your friends. The partner is...
This is the controversial bit.
Okay, the partner, you have to build, if we're going to hold up marriage, because this particular spouse doesn't relate to me as I do my feminine emoting about whatever emotional thing that I'm caring about, because he's a guy and he couldn't care less and he wants to just play Candy Crush right now because he's stressed out. That's okay. Who cares? Go talk to your friends. Your husband doesn't have to be the one to fulfill every deep need. That is not the job description of a husband.
Wait, I want to get Single's opinion on this. I like this lady. Yeah.
There's a few things. It's hard to like agree to like that he shouldn't be able to like, connect on a deeper level and focus on the value, because like I have the value, but I also want what we're looking for today. I want that soulmate. I want that connection.
Okay. So
can you guys hear the sacrifice? Can you guys hear her? She said she wants the single that's sitting here anonymously. Says she wants that connection.
And how long are you willing to sacrifice and not be married and not have kids and get older to find that connection? Or how much are you willing to do what Am Yisrael is supposed to do and
Jewish
get
people.
married, start a family, and find your fulfillment somewhere else if it's not perfect with your husband, as long as he's nice and he's kind and he's going to be there for you.
So you're saying change the value system?
Yes.
Go out with a guy, if he's pleasant enough, just get married?
If you respect him and he's reliable.
Respect is key for
women. So there's something there. I think that respect could come when you get along, when they understand you and connect on a much deeper level. If that's not there and you're going just for the value, I don't know if respect will come so easily.
How do people get married and have successful marriages twice, 3 times? Because the answer is you can marry a lot of people. You find common ground with everyone. There's always some, if you're both religious, Jewish, you will find common ground with everyone. Some people you'll be more naturally attracted to and more naturally compatible to. Some people you won't. But should a person wait and let the time clock click because they're not...
For decades,
because they're not maximally attracted, or do you prioritize marriage and it is what it is? In other words,
and there is a certain divine providence that this is the specific person that you are dating. Like this person came into your life, and this is your option right now. It's not someone else's option; it's your option.
Right,
so who's in front of you is part of the divine providence of right. So
but
then
we only get to choose. We don't have an endless reservoir of options that we can select from. Nobody
I want to
does.
see who this piece Love 1818 is.
Nobody does. We have a certain amount of options that come our way, and we have to make a choice.
You're saying pick from the options coming your way and take the most realistic option and make it work?
Let's talk about
Yes,
Leah.
this is Esther Wein, everyone. Esther Wein, I didn't put her name in the title. Esther Wein is a huge Torah scholar in the 5 towns and all through America. Her grandfather was Rav Shimon Schwab, a big gadol in America. So she has a lot to say and a lot of backed behind her, more than just her opinion. Someone's asking, has her husband been allowed an opinion in the last 30 years? And her husband is unbelievable.
My husband is my teacher. My husband is someone I respect tremendously. I learn from him all the time. I ask him so many questions. I want to digress here for a second. Not digress. I want to just teach one piece about Leah, and then everyone else can talk.
Hi, Esty.
Leah found herself in a marriage that she was like, I didn't sign up for this. She was in a marriage where her husband was
Leah.
Leah, the wife of Yaakov, one of our biblical mothers, found herself in a marriage that she, without going into the background, she basically said, I didn't sign up for this. I have a husband who I'm not bonded to. He won't bond with me.
Leah says
He's not deeply connected to me. He's deeply connected to his other wife. How that all happened, that's a story in the Torah, which was her sister. So we see that the Torah really addresses her pain. That she just like many people get into a marriage and say, I didn't sign up for this. Or I'm not gonna sign up for this.
By the way, you should just know that nearly every single person thinks that at some point.
Right.
Every single person thinks at some point, I didn't sign up for this, because you don't know everything when you get married. Your eyes open and you get to know deeper and deeper. And everyone has flaws. Everyone has issues. Just so I don't want to burst the bubble, but I really do want to burst the bubble, because it's normal. Like, let's talk about what's normal and expected.
And what's the danger is when people, before they get married, they choose not to get married because they go, I don't want to sign up for this.
Exactly. Right.
Okay. And that's valid. Plenty of times. So Leah says, I didn't sign up for this. So the Torah catalogs with tremendous sensitivity her emotional pain. So she names her first child Reuven, which the Torah tells us literally means God sees how much pain I'm in. Okay, I don't
why is she in so much pain?
I don't have a relationship with my husband.
She doesn't have a relationship with
a soulmate. I don't have a real marriage. I have a husband who's bonded to me. I have a marriage. I have children, but it's not everything that you would want in a marriage. Then she names her second child Shimon. The Torah tells us Hashem hears how much I feel unfulfilled, basically, and I don't have this deep connection. Okay. Then she names her third child Levi, which means maybe this time my husband will bond with me. Okay. 3 children in a row. In Judaism we have a rule.
Chazaka.
After 3 you have something called a chazaka, like that's it. The 4th child, she suddenly changes and she calls him Yehuda, and we are all called Yehudim. Okay? The word Yehuda comes from the root word hoda'ah, which means 2 things. When we say the Amida, we bow and we say modim, so it means acceptance and acquiescence to God's reality, that is the reality in the world for me. And also Hodah means gratitude. So Leah is the paradigm. The Gemara says there was no one yet on earth before our mother Leah that offered Hoda'ah to God. So this Hodah that Leah offered, which we are all called from that, Yehudim, because that's our national character trait, is the following. We try to achieve something that's the ideal. Okay? If it's not really happening, okay, or we can't seem to do it, we do not waste the rest of our lives pining away for it, yearning for it, being identifying by I'm the person that never had that wish fulfilled. I'm the person whose dream was broken. That's not who we are. Leah says, enough. I accept the situation, and now I'm grateful for the situation I'm in. I am married. I have children. I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to build Am Yisrael. And you know who comes from Leah? All the Kohanim, the priests, all the Leviim, all the kings from the house of David.
Wow.
Leah built the Jewish people.
Wow.
And she said, that's it. And she walked around she got herself, she changed her mindset. She did not continue to wallow in her disappointment. And she said, that's it. Now I'm just going to do the best I can with what I got. And that's fulfillment. That's a different kind of fulfillment. We shift one type of fulfillment for the bigger fulfillment. And let me ask you one question, I'm going to stop. Leah had wonderful fulfillment with her personal relationship with Yaakov, but she hadn't built Am Yisrael? She hadn't taught us the values of acceptance and gratitude and moving forward and investing in what you got? Which would have been more, which is the better legacy? That she had happened to have a good marriage? Or that Am Yisrael learned the resilience to work with the situation we have, even though it's not ideal, which is the situation the whole entire Jewish people is on right now, and say whatever the situation is, we accept it. We're going to make the best of it, and we're gonna optimize it, and we're gonna break through, and we're gonna do something great with this.
And by the way, I will say that is the approach in marriage. Meaning, every single person doesn't get their everything ideal and perfect ever. Everyone has stuff. Everyone has their issues. Everyone has. And I'm talking again within healthy, normal range. I'm not talking abusive or narcissistic, toxic, whatever. But within that, you all have that kind of muscle that we have to flex, right? Of acceptance. Even in the best marriages, you have acceptance of certain things that aren't exactly as you would want them. But that's the work of marriage, is to become that greatest version of yourself that comes through the process and the struggle of unconditional acceptance of another human being. And you start with yourself first, accepting your own flaws, as well as working on them, and then it extends to your spouse. And that's really what Leah did. It's not about giving up on having a good marriage or a wonderful spouse, but it's not about being committed to the ideal that otherwise it's settling, because I always hear this, I'm not going to settle. Yeah, you shouldn't settle on values, you shouldn't settle on basic health and stability. But outside of that, if you get a great guy and he's kind and he's stable and he's good and he's giving, right? And you like him and you enjoy his company. It doesn't have to be the bestie that you have, right? You can fulfill yourself in so many other ways. And it's more fulfilling to start the marriage and to have a marriage and children and community and family and all those things than it is to hold back and wait alone for many, many decades or years for this perfect person that may or may not come. Because again, what I've heard sometimes from singles is they have expectations that are not so realistic. It's fueled by Hollywood. It's fueled by, it's not the sort of person I thought I'd marry. I hear that all the time. all the time. Just so you know, behind the scenes, they have this amazing guy in front of them who's devoted to them. Many singles I've worked with. And they'll say, but I don't feel it as much as I should think I would be feeling if this was right. I said, based on what? I don't know, just what I've always thought since I was a kid. This isn't the kind of guy I thought I'd marry. But you're giving so much power to some fantasy image you had as a child, right? So I just think we have to let go of all these images and all these messages and all this influence that we have and look at the person in front of us with a guide of what we know works based on Torah and our history and our Masorah, and say, like, can this work? Can I make it work with this person that's actually in front of me? Because that's part of my divine providence, that this person is in front of me. So this person in front of me, can we make it work? Is there any reason not to get married? And as Rabbi Manis Friedman was saying recently that I heard, which was great, be more committed to the idea of marriage than this person specifically. Like, can I make it work? I'm committed to marriage. Now can I make it work with this person? You know, that, and because I want to be married, I want to have all the things that marriage brings me, which is a lot bigger than myself, meaning rather than just be like, and the other thing is, when I'm alone and not married yet, also don't over-identify that marriage is going to give me my complete identity, because it doesn't. And so I love that too. That's very empowering to start as a single, to have a life that's not just only identified. I'm only somebody if I'm married. No, you're a whole person now, and you're worthy, and you're good, and you can have a life, and you can identify with lots of things in your life, so that marriage isn't your be all, like it's the be all and end all. Because I think that that's a problem when women get into that mindset that marriage is everything, and without marriage I'm nothing. So that makes them feel like a loser, like a nebuch. And then they date from that place, like desperation, which pushes men away, right? Again, I'm sure men would say that when you feel that desperateness of like, I don't care who you are, I just want to marry you because I feel like a nothing without marriage. That's also not okay. So we want to find that line where I know I'm someone, I know I'm important, I have a whole full life outside of marriage, and I'm not just sitting there twiddling my thumbs and waiting for marriage. And at the same time, I'm prioritizing marriage, and I want marriage and all that comes with that. So I'm not going to be like waiting, forever for this absolutely perfect long checklist that I know I may not get. Because it's worth waiting for. Well, no, it may never come, because that perfect checklist came. Where'd that come from? The idea that you should get that, and the idea that it even exists. It doesn't exist. Ask anyone married. It doesn't exist. The perfect checklist of every single thing you've ever wanted. Now, you get what you need, so sometimes you get things, you get lots of bonuses. My husband, so many things that I need that I didn't realize I needed, because Hashem knew, God knew. But it's holding the juxtaposition of these two things. It's holding both, right? I'm someone without marriage, and I also want to prioritize marriage because I think it's important, and I want to get married, so I'm going to see who I can make this work with. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
I'm so glad I'm hearing this now.
What, does it resonate?
It resonates, but I have to think about it. It's definitely something important to rethink.
A lot of times we look at our husband or potential spouse is like a referendum on my value. Like if I get someone who's a little, I don't know, he's a little nerdy, or he's not as great looking. That makes me that I'm a loser because look at this guy I brought home. I mean, that's obviously poison, right? Because marriage, those are, whether a person is tall or good looking or has the best sense of humor is just not a relevant quality in marriage.
Well, I do think laughing through things is helpful, by the way.
The particulars, whatever sense, like they don't. The point is, a lot of times it's our own insecurity. Like, what will this guy, if I get engaged to him, what will that say about me?
Oh yeah, that image thing is so. Again, I can't.
Real.
Well, just wait till you have kids.
That's real.
And Mir Hashem, and you go, oh my God, what do these kids say about me?
Yes, but that's a problem because the kid then feels that you're identifying with the kid. It's not good for the kid. It's not good for you, and it's not even real.
I'm just saying you can't. We don't control. The bottom line is the priority of what constitutes a good marriage partner, and getting past our image, and not holding, and not letting, choosing our own almost like stagnation because we're scared of our image.
Yes, people prioritize image rather than real connection. What are people going to think? And I think that you really just want someone with good midos, good character. Good character means how do they react when they give a knee-jerk reaction, not just like, because everyone can put on a good act, right? How do they really act when something doesn't go their way? And good communication, that you can have a conversation, you can communicate, although you can always improve that. And values, that your values are aligned in the same direction, going in the same direction. It's more important that you're going in the same direction than what you're actually where you're at now. How do you get past the image thing? Frida's asking. Hi, Frida. How do you get past the image thing?
Just don't be so, it's superficial.
So I would suggest, knowing the work that we talk about here on this account, you have to get past the image thing with yourself.
Yeah.
So if you're judging yourself by your image, then you're going to judge other people that way, because it's a mirror. We learn it's a mirror, right? Talmud says we don't see things the way they are. We see things the way we are. So you've got to connect with your deeper self. And as you connect with your deeper self, you'll start to be able to sort of filter which things are really important to me versus which things are like, I'm worried about what other people are going to think. But really deep down, I don't really care about that. A lot of people feel that way, by the way. Deep down, I'm okay with it, but what are they going to think of me? And I can just tell you, 98% of your marriage is alone with that person, and no one gives two hoots, and everyone moves on and could care less about your life. And so you're not doing anyone any favors by this, what people think of me. And I know it's more important, like after people come back and they've graduated and they're in college age, and it was so important what your friends think, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. And it's really about feeling safe and feeling like yourself with this other person. Do you feel like you're yourself with the other person? Do you feel safe? Do you feel like you can be yourself? And when you're away from them, do you want to see them again? Essentially. Yeah.
I have a question. You were saying earlier to choose from your options in front of you. Now, what happens if someone's options in front of them are not on any kind of level where they can say, okay, I'll choose this one? They feel like it's not viable options.
You could try to get new options. I want to tell you something a little more, also like off, a little controversial that I believe in. Let's say somebody's not. I've seen people forego a marriage partner, someone they like, because they're not on the same religious level as somebody. Okay, as if the fact that they're a little more, let's say, less careful about certain halachas is more important than getting married. I mean, we got to keep our eye on the big picture, not the little details. Again, when we get up to Shemayim, to heaven, so to speak, I'm just using that term, get up to heaven. I mean, at the end of our life, Judaism teaches, we got to sort of there's an accounting, like how we lived. One thing's for sure, nobody's going to ask you why he did X, Y, and Z. It's not your business. So if he doesn't get up to minyan and he doesn't do this, in other words, whatever, it's not your business. It doesn't matter. Marriage is more important. So maybe we have to expand that pool. Look to people that aren't as exactly the same type of religious style we are. Maybe somebody who's different, from a different circle. Expands. If the pool in front of you is just too limited, expand the pool.
Right, and also people are making big sweeping statements about people because they don't have this kind of job, they don't have this kind of degree, or they watch movies on their laptop by themselves. I mean, I can't take it.
I hear these stories all the time. People the guy I was at, my rabbi told me not to date him because he doesn't go to minyan every day. Oh my goodness! First of all, it's not your business. Second of all, maybe when he gets married in a stable life, he'll go to minyan every day. And third of all, going to minyan every day is not the most important thing in the world.
Correct. That's the problem.
The three cardinal parts of Judaism is you have a home. So in the home is Shabbos, that's important. Kosher is important. And Taras HaMishpacha is important. Whether the guy wears this is not your business.
It's family.
Now, I understand that you want to have someone on the
mikvah.
same level, value, mikvah, right? But that's important. But I understand we want to have someone who's on the same page. But if you start prioritizing single, no children, not married, a guy who's not on the same page, who doesn't wear tzitzis, but he's a good guy who keeps Shabbos, I mean, the answer is obvious.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
And people grow, meaning you can't marry someone in the hope they're going to change. That's true. But you could, again, it's just so one-dimensional.
By the way, there's an entire group led by a friend of mine for couples who are married, who one spouse is no longer religious, or at the moment not religious, okay, not keeping Shabbos anymore, one spouse. She has a whole group of people, I know personally, couples in this group, they're keeping their marriages together. They have an arrangement where whatever, let's say the guy's not keeping Shabbos, it's personal, it's private, the kids don't see it. They keep their marriage together. They have shalom bayis, peace in the home. They respect each other. Everyone's on their own journey. And you know what? Their kids are fine. The home is fine. Their home is kosher. It's fine. I'm not saying it's the ideal, but it works.
Right.
It's okay. You don't
so
have
the
to
question
break up a
is,
marriage.
you don't have to break up a marriage. So
at what point do you look to give up on those dreams that you had that, let's say, were connected to Yiddishkeit, to religion?
So you compromise, I would say, this is my personal thing, marriage and, again, children, it's very, very important. And you know what? There are, fundamental things. You want to start out with Shabbos, ideally, kashrus, family purity, the big things, right?
You have to be aligned, meaning
Yeah.
you can't have one person that wants it and one person that
Yeah.
doesn't, because those three things create the foundation of
Right.
the Jewish home and the lifestyle.
Yes. And you have to agree that
have
the
to agree.
children will be raised.
Yeah,
to
so-
believe-
There's different levels of lifestyle though, because like
Yeah.
where I'm coming from, let's say
This
referring
is a
to
single in the background that wants to be anonymous, but we're taking questions.
referring to a minion, that would be like an indicator that we have shared values, we have shared vision in life.
You know, when old guys are older and single, their spirituality or their religion is really at its lowest point. It is extremely hard to be religious when you're single and you're older. It's extremely hard. Don't worry about their
Hello.
minion.
I
Don't
live
worry
that.
about their davening. Don't worry any of that. If they basically identify as a religious person, those are their values.
So then what's showing their religious
Well,
values?
that they
Or that they're growth oriented,
Yeah.
that they have a real relationship with God.
Well, they're not even that. No,
Uh,
no.
I'm
They
sorry,
are,
we're gonna
It needs to be
identify
authentic.
as
It's
religious.
authentic.
How do you know it's an authentic connection
They
if they're
say,
not
I
actually
view
serving Hashem in the ways that
It's not.
we can see it
First-
in this world?
First of all, no one's job is to see how someone else is serving Hashem.
Okay,
Ever.
fair
Okay,
enough.
that's number one.
No, but you have to assess who you're dating to
What
see
was
who
it?
you're going to marry. Someone just was mentioning, how do you know even who you're marrying when you date such a short period of time? How do you even know like that they're who they say
when
they are?
Okay, so when you're very, let's just do that for 1 second, and then I
Yeah.
want to address this. When they're very young,
we have
it
to
really
go, I have
goes
to go.
by. It really goes by the family, the community. Like, you know, it's a lot of sort of checking out the guy, knowing who they come from, what their education was, what their background was, and like just, you know, assuming they're gonna follow that. But let's address this. Someone else's religiosity. Okay, if that person is honest and says, I identify as a religious person, I want to keep the mitzvahs, I don't keep them all right now. Yes, I'm a person who wants Shabbos, I'm a person who loves Torah, of course I want to learn. It's just, whatever, I'm not doing it now, but that's who I am. I feel a connection to Am Yisrael and to the Jewish people and the mitzvahs. That's really who I am, and I'm going in that direction, and that's it. That's who you are. Their particular avodas Hashem is no one's business. The only thing you want to make sure is that, that you want to be on the same page, is that our children will be raised in a home that's clearly a Jewish religious-oriented home where mitzvahs are important, Torah is important, Shabbos is important, and that's it.
And if you want to look at what someone values, you look at what they sacrifice their time for. You look at what they in their day-to-day as they're dating. You just watch. What do they sacrifice this? So they can talk a talk, but do they really walk the walk in their actions, even over 3 months when you're dating them? Are they rushing to get to some sort of class? How do they treat their family? How do they treat, all the people they don't care about? You start to see when people, aren't on just like in front of you trying to impress you like an interview, right? What does someone sacrifice their time for? And how do they react in knee-jerk reactions when they don't get their way? You start to see it. You really do start to see those
You're looking
values.
at character stuff now.
Yeah, for character
But
stuff.
in terms of religion, you have to, obviously you're going to trust. You're going to build a relation where you can trust that that person is going in the right direction.
Right.
And you want to know something? I once heard a rabbi give his class. I almost had a heart attack. Somebody said about like, there's a woman and she's married to a guy who's not as religious. Like he's not so religious. She's more religious. And should she daven for children because her husband's not religious? And this person who calls himself a rabbi said, well, if one spouse isn't religious, who says they should have children? Maybe they shouldn't even have children. I mean, it's insane.
That's
because
insane.
first of all, you could send your kids to a modern Orthodox school, a public school. You want to know something? They might be B'alei Tshuva. They might be the most religious kids on earth. You don't even control that trajectory.
And that's the key. We think we're in control.
Yeah.
This is the biggest joke. When people come to me and they say, no, but I want a guy who has this degree or that, or this education, or this specific look, or this specific... We think we're in control. You think that's going to stay like that for the rest of your life? I can't date a guy because he's living in a different city. Well, who says you're meant to be in this city for the rest of your life? How do you know the bigger picture? Like, we just don't know the bigger picture. We think we're in control of our whole life, and you don't know. Like a guy who is the best match for you, if he happens to live in Israel and you want to date someone in New York, you're not going to date the guy in Israel, even though he's the best suggested guy for you for the last year, because he's living in Israel. But how do you know where you're meant to live? You don't know. We don't know our future. So we just have to, I think, surrender a little bit. You can have preferences. Nothing wrong with preferences. But these things shouldn't be deal breakers. This is my humble opinion. They're not deal breakers. They don't make or break a marriage. A lot of the things we talked about today don't make or break a marriage. Even things that people would think would be important, like religiosity levels and stuff like that. There's certain foundational things that need to be in place. But other than that, there's so much more flexibility than we realize. And that's, I guess, really the takeaway message of today, is that just be much more flexible. It doesn't mean take people who are going to treat you badly. It doesn't mean to marry people who are, God forbid, abusive or belittling or disrespectful. These are all red flags and you should run away from them. Yeah. And they're bad character. But someone with good character who's not your ideal or perfect look or all that stuff, start to think, am I really relating to this from image or am I relating to this from my deeper self? How do I really feel on a deeper level when I'm with this person? Does he respect me? Do I respect who he is? And start to
also peer pressure. What if I bring home a guy who's not like as religious as my whole family? What if I bring home all that also is keep your eye on the prize.
Yeah, which is marriage. We want to be that marriage is something to prioritize, and also character. When I prioritize character and say, wow, that is really important for marriage.
Derech Eretz Kadma LaTorah. Having Derech Eretz, which always means good character, good morals and ethics, a decent, good human being is priority. If Torah can only grow on that fertile ground, so you have a good person who wants to grow, who basically agrees to the basics, even that should be considered a very, very viable option.
And you're good project managers together, because again, you've got the home life, you've got budgets and finances, there's so many areas of marriage that are not this romantic experience of the dating world that you experience. It's so not like that. Yes, we go on date night once a week and we have date night. And there's that moment where, it's just us and it's quality time and we're at a restaurant. And yes, that exists when you're married, but it's one little part of marriage. And then forget with the kids and the this and the that and dealing with doctors and appointments. And it's just so much day-to-day mundane projects together. You have to be good project managers together. So I always say, when you're dating, go and do something go supermarket shopping, have a list, go grocery shopping, buy the groceries, go home, cook a meal. It might be fun, but do that a number of times. How do you make decisions together?
And also in the big stuff, I know marriages where, one spouse recognized that the other spouse was just better at, let's say, the spiritual religious education, and said, you know what, you're in charge of that. You decide what school they go to. You decide how you could divide. There's division of labor too, and people respect other people's accomplishments or expertise or areas where they're very very idealistic, and there's so many different ways to arrange things.
Yes,
as long as people care about each other and are flexible.
You do you.
Yeah.
And on that
of course, yeah. And we have to build Am Yisrael. The real thing is that Jews today are being bombarded on all sides, from inside, from outside, everywhere, delegitimizing us, telling us you have no right to exist, you have no value in the world doesn't need the Jewish people, you're a blight onto humanity. These are our messages. And we have to say, we are the Jews, and we're going to be the Jews, and we're going to build the Jewish nation, and we're going to build it right. We're going to produce more Jews, and the Jewish people have a way of living and a truth and a reality that the whole world actually needs to learn from, but because they'd rather shut us down than admit that they should up their game and learn from us. And we have to build Am Yisrael. Our what's the word, response to all of this is we're building Am Yisrael more.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, you can see a lot more of Esther and Torah anytime. She has
a course for Nishma.
Oh, she has a course for Nishma, which means
go to EstherWein.com.
EstherWein.com.
There'll be more information about my new Vinishma.
EstherWein.com, and Torah Anytime has all her classes on it. So many classes, and yes, we love that she's open-minded, and I love, she's one of my best friends. And have a great day, guys. If you have questions, please DM me, or if comments or any other topics we should talk about. Thank you to the anonymous single sitting here and giving her opinion on behalf of singles.
And if you really want to blow your minds, you can. I'll send Jackie a. Actually, if you really want to blow your minds, you could just go to Google Esther Wein and look for the soulmate search, a whole new perspective on soulmate. Ooh. Blow your minds.
Oh, okay. And then DM me. Let me know what you think.
Yeah.
All right. Amazing, guys. Have a good day.
Take care.
Bye.